It's Tuesday. That means the Apex Energy Cup Series racing from the Slingshot Racing League. Welcome, everybody. I'm Ellis Thomas, joined in the booth by Chris Smith. Tonight, we bring you live racing action in the ARCA cars from Daytona International Speedway. And tonight, it's not the normal Daytona. It is what many drivers call bumpy Daytona, the historic model from before the track was repaved in 2008. That's going to bring along a whole set of challenges that these drivers might not be used to, and we'll talk about that shortly. Brief history of the track. It actually took over a year to build, and it opened in 1959. Originally, it was intended to be a crown jewel of the emerging stock car series called NASCAR. The track is so big, engineers had to take into account the curvature of the earth when building it. With steep 31-degree bankings, fun fact, made from the dirt dug out from the area that Lake Lloyd now sits in the infield, these drivers aren't going to be spending a lot of time off throttle, which is going to lead to high speeds and very little room for error. One mistake can lead to the big one. Will we see it tonight? We'll find out at the end of 40 laps. Chris, how can we expect these cars to drive tonight?
It will not be like the typical Daytona, like the Daytona that you see today on TV. This track is very bumpy. It's very fast. It's just as fast as the Daytona today, but there's all kinds of swells in the track. It's a very, very difficult track to get a handle on over the course of a long fuel run. You'll start to see some guys start to slide the nose and slide the rears. Should make for a very entertaining race, and we should see all kinds of people all over the track. And like you said, this track is narrow for as big as it is, and with the bumpiness of the track and the abrasiveness of the track, it just leaves for an even smaller window of error.
And we're going for 40 laps tonight. We've got kind of a different arrangement for the race. We're going to have a competition caution thrown at lap 20 to give the drivers the opportunity to come in. If they want to take tires, they can. They can fill up the tank, so we won't have to worry about fuel. We'll keep the pack together all night. And if a caution comes out between lap 10 and 20, that will serve as the competition caution. Showed no pitting issues tonight. These drivers are going to be, I would say, bumper to bumper, but like we talked about, bump drafting is a dangerous game tonight, and drivers are probably going to want to stay away from that as much as possible, because if a car gets tagged just the wrong way, like we said in the beginning, all it takes is just a small mistake. The margin of error is very thin. So as qualifying wraps up, we can see the qualifying results at the top of the screen. Monty Sprague takes the pole, Tony Hilbrand second. Those guys look to be fast tonight. Monty in that 3 car is new to Slingshot and is looking on to put a good show on tonight. So we'll go to the starting lineup. All right, so like we mentioned on the pole, Monty Sprague in that 3 car, Tony Hilbrand's a Slingshot regular starting on the outside of row 1. In row 2, the 81 of Scott Sobczak, followed by Patrick Colby on the outside. Row 3, we see Slingshot regular Brady Powers with newcomer Lee Campbell on the outside. And behind them, row 4, we've got Johnny Rapp, and we've got Evan Pienta. Row 9, Chris Blassie. Row 5, Chris Blassie, and then Austin Greer on the outside of that row. Rye Jones and Chase Berry make up the final row. We've got a smaller field tonight, but oftentimes we talk about how maybe the clash has gotten too big in NASCAR, and now we're kind of just taking it to a throwback to a smaller field tonight that maybe we'll be able to avoid a big one. Maybe that'll help. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just make the drivers feel a little bit too secure out there tonight. So that pace car is going to be rolling in just a minute. Chris, do you expect to see a big one tonight?
I would be surprised if we don't see one, but my hope is that we can make it past a possible competition caution a little bit later into the race. We can keep all these guys together and put on as good of a show as we can until the final stages of the race. Knowing some of these guys the way that I know them, I think that the likelihood of that is very high. But as we've mentioned in the lead up to this is a very, very difficult track. This is a very, very difficult place to navigate, and I wouldn't be surprised maybe if we ran into some early trouble here.
Yeah, so we're already actually hearing from some of our fans. We got Randy in the chat who says he's got his money on Rye Jones tonight, and Rye is starting in 11th place. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly he looks to move up through the field. So the cars head off of pit road. They head into turn one. And like we talked about tonight, race analysis, we've got 40 laps. And like we said, unlimited tires for these drivers. They're not really going to have to worry about that so much tonight, maybe only a little bit, but that pit stop halfway through will hopefully alleviate any tire concerns we have. And shout out, we got Joshua Kane in the chat, who's not going to be racing with us tonight, but he says hi. He'll be racing next week. And I think we've got Chris Pierce also is looking for Johnny Rapp to go for the win tonight. Johnny's kind of a sleeper in a lot of races. He will start, middle of the pack, run middle of the pack, and I think that's intentional. He just kind of bides his time, and we'll see how fast he comes out of the gate tonight. So we got those cars heading down into turn 3. How aggressive are you if you're in this race, Chris? Are you sipping on that Apex Energy early and getting after it, or you wait until that competition caution?
Oh yeah, I would get after it early here. I mean, most races I wouldn't, points races I wouldn't, but here with no points on the line, I would just let it all hang out. This is the one time where you can kind of just let your hair down and just enjoy the show.
Yeah, no points on the line, so these guys they're like I said, just going for it. Pace car is getting ready to pull off, and we're getting ready to open up Season 3. Green flag is out. Monty Sprague leads them down the front stretch for lap 1. Tony Hilbrand still outside. They're 2 by 2. We'll see how long they stay this way, and we'll see if the bump draft is going to be something that anyone chooses to go with. That outside line looks like they've got just a little bit of momentum headed into turn 2. Everyone's minding their P's and Q's right now. 2 by 2. I'm a little surprised that no one maybe tried to pick up a couple spots on the outside. I think that'll be something to watch for as the race goes on. But right now you've got Tony Hilbrand's leading that high line. You've got Monty Sprague staying strong after starting the pole down on the inside, followed by Sabzak, who's helping him back there. The 9 of Patrick Colby is kind of following Tony up on the top.
Yeah, and at this point right now, it's about what lane has the most energy. If your lane has the energy, if your lane has all, more cars in it lined up, there's a chance that your lane is going to obviously move forward. But it's not just about, your lane having more cars. It's also about how tight your lane is, how close together you're running. And that's tricky here. It's a lot trickier than it is at the New Daytona and at Talladega because those tracks are so smooth. Here, so it's very, very difficult to sort of run very close nose to tail.
Yeah, and you can see just this shot down the backstretch, the car's moving around. You can see how bumpy this track is. And I'm curious if we might, Patrick Colby looks like he's a little bit loose in that 9 car up top. We'll see if he's going to look to make a pass. And he just tucks right back in line. Let's look at this onboard shot just to see if we can see a little bit more movement in these cars as they head down into 1 right now.
Yeah, Patrick Colby and Tony Hilbrand are teammates. They were teammates with Aaron Smith in last year's Cup Series. So these guys are used to working together. Not surprised at all to see them try to hook up early in this race. You mentioned bump drafting earlier. I think it's going to be kind of difficult in these cars only because of the fact that the noses are really sloped and the back bumpers are really hiked up. It kind of creates this lift effect. Oh, as these two get really close together, it looked like Monty Sprague and Tony Hilbrand might have made some contact there.
Yeah, they're definitely mixing up in the front right now. It's early. We're just crossed over to the 4th lap. These guys, actually, the 4th lap, these guys are racing like there's less than 10 laps to go. And that's what we thought we might see, especially with nothing on the line other than pride and bragging right tonight. But like you mentioned, those backward slopes, the slopes of the front bumpers and the rear bumpers, they just don't line up well. So it's really hard to make consistent contact that's not putting, the lead car kind of in a compromised situation, so to speak. But right now, at the top of the running order, it remains largely the same. Monty Sprague, we see him going for the lead on the inside here, and it looks to me like that 92 of Tony Hilbrand's just wasn't handling quite as good through that corner. I see some of these drivers looking like they're trying to maybe use a little bit of side draft. How effective is that in these older ARCA cars?
It's not as much as you would see in something like a next gen car on a plate track. The next gen cars on iRacing on the plate tracks have a very, very strong side draft model. In those cars, it's very, very easy to get up along somebody and really drag them back if you're trying to pull them back to you. In these, it's not so prevalent. You don't really see it as much. One thing I am noticing as Tony Hilbrand is going to try to grab the lead here, he did not pull down in front of Monty Sprague there. He could have done it. He was clear of him going off into turn 3, but he decided he was going to stay up high and continue working with his teammate Patrick Colby. Don't want to leave your teammate hanging, especially in the early goings here.
Yeah, that's something that we haven't talked a lot about yet, is this idea of maybe guys on the track who are teammates, how much they're helping each other. At what point in the race does that go out the window? Is there a point where, we're talking last 5 laps, last 10 laps, or you think there are guys out here who are willing to push their teammates to the win?
Well, some of these guys out here don't have teammates. Not everybody works with a teammate. I think there are plenty of guys that would be willing to push a teammate to the win, but I also think that in the last 5 laps, it's kind of like every man for himself. You don't necessarily stay committed, 100% committed to that guy if you got a chance to win. Obviously, you don't want to do anything to hurt your teammate, probably. But you also want to try to make sure that you give yourself the best chance possible to win, too.
Yeah, and I want to bring up a couple of these guys that we know are teammates running near the back, and 11 for 12, Chase Berry and Rye Jones. Are they going with the sit and wait strategy, just kind of biding their time back there? That's become kind of a plate race, typical strategy. A lot of drivers kind of opt for a little bit more conservative approach. You think that's what they're doing?
It's a very good possibility. These guys have been doing this for a while. They're very, very familiar with how this plate racing works, and we have been in plate races with both of these guys before. I've seen Chase at the back with us dodging wrecks, slowing down, stopping to miss wrecks before. So I'm not at all surprised to see him back there. Maybe a little bit surprised to see Rye Jones back there, but everything looks like it's nice and steady right now as we have a slight resolution issue. I'm going to see if I can correct that on our screen here.
Yeah, absolutely. Up at the front, we've got Tony Hilbrand still leading the way. We've got Patrick Colby kind of riding outside behind him. We got Monty Sprague still running confidently on that inside line, followed by Scott Sabzak in 4th, Patrick Colby in 3rd, it looks like right now. Austin Greer, who's someone we have not talked a lot about in this race right now, in that 45 Georgia Pacific car. He's kind of making his slingshot debut, and he's having a very solid run tonight, kind of racing at the top, literally at the top of the field, but also the outside line. We can see Austin is from Ohio, and he started 10th, so he's picked up a couple of positions. And how easy, Chris, is it to pass a car? I think we've kind of got the answer based on what we're seeing right now, but is it pretty difficult?
It's difficult when the track is blocked like this. I think that obviously right now, Austin's doing a really good job. He's holding it pretty well. He's keeping it up there. It doesn't look like he's moving around a lot. He's done this, it looks like. He's got a 2172 I rating. It's just hard to find a lane because, you can force it 3 wide. You can try to go up the middle or squeeze between the outside lane and the wall. But that's kind of like a risk-reward thing. I know that I mentioned, all these guys are going to be letting it all hang out. But, you obviously don't want to find yourself wrecked before we even get to the halfway point. So it's a risk-reward thing, and I think that he's doing the right thing by just staying in line right here, seeing if he can try to keep the energy up in that outside line. Lee Campbell, not too far behind Austin. Looks like Lee's lagging back just a little bit. I wouldn't say that he's hurting that lane necessarily, but I think he's just taking a very cautious approach in that number 14 Chevrolet.
Yeah, and right now I think that's Lee's new to our league, and he's still getting to learn those slingshot drivers, and they're still getting to learn him. So that's honestly good to see, kind of that respectful, conservative, even though it's an exhibition race, just kind of out there getting the feel for the rest of the field tonight. And I guess what I want to know, if we've got some folks watching right now, just a question that maybe anyone might answer in the chat. Right now, are you taking the conservative approach? Or are you taking the aggressive approach? Are you trying to get to the front and stay there? What do the viewers think about that? We'll see what they have to say momentarily. Up at the top right now, it's still Tony Hilbrun's leading the way. But one thing I noticed, Tony, he's not giving Sprague in that 3 car a whole lot of room. So, if anything happens with the 3 moving up the track just a little bit, you can kind of see him there take a little bit higher entry into 1 there. Tony gave him a little bit, but you can see they're still really close, side by side as they come down the backstretch, headed into turn 3. It looks like that outside line has had probably the momentum most of the night. Looks like we've got Racer 42 saying conservative at this stage. We've got Chris Pierce saying conservative until the stage break as well. So a lot of guys preferring to go conservative. There's what I mentioned. These cars, do bobble on the track a little bit, more than a little bit, a lot. You can kind of see the movement under these things. I'm curious just if we can get an onboard shot, maybe to hear how much throttle play these guys have as they kind of approach the car in front of them.
Yeah, we'll ride on board with Scott Sobczak here. This is somebody who's not leading one of the lanes. And I think Scott's kind of taking a conservative approach here, not wanting. We haven't really seen any bump drafting, which I think is good, because I think these guys know better than to try it with these cars. You have to be very precise with that if you do try it. But yeah, it sounds like he's very, very conservative with the throttle right there in 3 and 4, as Hilbrun's and Colby get really close to their doors in the middle of 3 and 4.
Yeah, and that's going to push Sprague out to the lead. That pocket of air is kind of pushing that 3 car forward, but Hilbrun's is going to fight back, and that's what these guys have been doing all night. I haven't really seen anyone, even more contact there, haven't really been seeing anyone who seems like they're willing, in the top 6 or 7 at least, to back down and to maybe take it easy. Both of these guys, both of these lanes just keep moving and trading blows back and forth.
Yeah, you mentioned, that outside line getting close to the inside line, and I just wanted to touch on that very quickly. That's something that, as, a runner on the outside line, you just kind of feel like you got to do in order, because it is the longer way around, especially if you've got some good guys on the bottom. That's the only way that you feel like you can really make that ground up, is if you get as close as you can to those guys on the inside. Now, here at Daytona, the old Daytona, you can kind of get away with maybe running slightly higher just because of the bumpiness of the track. It's a little bit more forgiving for those guys that are down there on the inside, or I'm sorry, on the outside. So that just kind of opens that door up for maybe moving up a little bit. But it seems like Hilbrun's and Colby are going to try to stay as close as they can to those guys on the inside.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the strategy with the 92 and the 9. Certainly working together most of the night. I'm not sure if Austin Greer knows these guys or not, but he is playing nicely around the outside. They're sitting back in 5th place right now with those guys running strong. So right now we are on lap 16. We're just a few laps away from that competition caution we talked about. It'll bring drivers back together, give them an opportunity to make sure they're good on fuel, and then we'll kind of have probably about a 17-lap shootout till the end. But you can see just right now how close these drivers are to each other. And as we mentioned at the beginning, one wrong move could spell disaster for the entire field. There's a very small margin of error, especially when these cars are racing side by side as closely as they are. And you can see that right now as they cross the line. 92 and the 3, you barely could have slid a piece of paper between those guys. And it's not much different throughout the rest of the field. So we got just a couple laps from that competition caution coming up. I'm seeing if we've got anyone. We might wait to the caution to check in with anyone on the radio and see what it's been like out there tonight. But you can see, look, this 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 is really far back as the top 8 or so.
And until you get back here to these guys.
Yep. And then you've got Evan Pienta, Johnny Rapp, Chase Berry, and Rye Jones, who are all slingshot regulars, kind of biding their time. Rye Jones even given a good pocket of time there. But now you can see Pienta's going to move up to the outside, and he looks like he might decide he wants to get racy just a couple laps before this competition caution break at lap 20. And there's nothing on the line to lead coming to that caution break or anything, but I am curious to see how racy these guys get, knowing that that is kind of on its way.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that is really on the line is just a better starting position or a better position going into the pits. I'm assuming that most of these guys will probably come in, since there are unlimited sets, as the 92 and the 3 get really close together there. I'm assuming that they know that the end of the stage is approaching, that the end of this first half, and they want to try to make sure that they have as good a track position as they can possibly get here before we roll over into the final stage.
Yeah, and what I'm noticing is it feels to me like outside to get that run and get that momentum, just like you saw the 92 of Tony Hilburn's able to do. But even right now, the inside, that 3 of Monty Sprague is able to fight back, and he doesn't have a lot of help from Sobczak behind him. I'm curious to see once Scott gets this run here, you can see it's coming, what he does with that. He's going to obviously let off the brakes and talk about pump trap, but you can still see that pocket of air is going to push that 3 car out to the lead. I don't think he's going to be able to clear the 92, and we'll see when our race controller throws the yellow flag, if he throws it when they cross the line, or he lets the lap complete. But we are coming to that competition, and there is the yellow flag. So at that yellow flag, we are at the halfway point. It looks like winning that part of the race, although there's nothing on the line, is Tony Hilbrun's, Monty Sprague in second, Patrick Colby in third, Scott Sobczak fourth, Austin Greer fifth, Brady Power sixth, Evan Pienta seventh, Lee Campbell eighth, and then you've got guys who've kind of been choosing to ride at the back. We'll see them, I'm sure, be a little more racy this time by. So right now, we are going to, I would imagine the pace car picked him up yet?
No, they got to go around and get it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll see if anyone is in the general chat for us to pick up and see how things are going. Give me a second to do that. All right, you think they'll mind if we pick them up now?
I think they're coming to pit road now.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So we'll give them a second to make that pit stop. We'll see if the running order changes at all, but then we'll pick up and see if we can talk to Patrick Colby. Actually, maybe we'll talk to Tony Hilbrun's, who's been leading a good portion of this race, but has had a couple close calls. So, yeah, the pace car has picked up the drivers, and they are headed right now onto pit road, and for what I'll imagine will be fill up and take 4, and we'll see if anyone is able to gain spots or anyone loses spots on pit road to set up that final dash for the win.
Yeah, Monty Sprague, he's going to have that first pit stall off of pit road, so he has the prime position right here as the pole sitter. Tony Hilbrun's will be just behind him. It looks like Monty was a little bit conservative getting into a stall. That might hurt him on his time on pit road here, but we'll wait and see if everybody takes 4 tires. It looks like everybody's going to take 4. Not surprised at all.
So Hilbrins is going to get out first. Sobzak looks, I don't know, with Monty Sprague having that first pit stall, that helped him tremendously. But based on my scoring, he is going to come out in 4th place. So we are going to pick up Tony Hilbrins on the radio and see what he has to say about this. Give me a second to make that happen. Discord's not playing too nice right now, so we might not have time to get Patrick queued up, Tony queued up.
Meanwhile, we might have had a pit road speeding penalty right here with the 9 of Colby. And that's going to shuffle the running order here. It's going to separate those two teammates.
Chase Berry, this is the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we've got Chase Berry on the line right now. Chase, you have been taking kind of an interesting strategy. We thought some folks might do it. It doesn't surprise us that you've been running at the back and playing it conservative. When does that end?
Oh, when the lights go out.
Okay, so this is basically a new race at this point for you.
No, I mean like when the sun goes down, that light, because it'll be over.
Oh,
I
this
don't
is
know.
very true.
I don't know. We're playing around. We're just singing karaoke. You know, I'm staring at the possum on the spoiler of Johnny's because we got the possums back for this race. So
Awesome. Well, how's the car handling?
oh, like a dream. I haven't really done anything. If you want to know what my tires were, left sides were 100s and right sides were like 99. So I haven't done anything.
Oh, very nice.
I know, right? It's exciting.
Taking care of the car. Hopefully you can take care of it the rest of the way. How crazy do you expect it to get out there?
It'd probably be crazy. It just depends when it gets started. But yeah, I don't know. It might be crazy for probably about like 30. No, sorry. Like if we're still green and like it's still sunny, 30. It'll be crazy, and then we'll see where we're at.
All
Who
right.
knows?
Well, good luck.
right.
And have fun out there. Put on a good show for us.
I'll probably have the most fun out here. That's for sure.
I don't doubt that one bit. All right. Appreciate it, buddy.
Alrighty.
Let's see if we can get a good look at the possum on the back of that number 52 car. You can see it on the spoiler right there. He's ready to roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Pace car is leading him down the front stretch. Pace car is going to pull off, and we are buckling up for these final 17 laps. Tony Hilbrins is going to lead him to the green.
And he took the outside line on that restart. As the leader, he has that choice. He can do that. He's hanging out there. I think he's clear of the 81. It's really close.
Sobzak's going to make a run back at it. He's got maybe more help on the way, a little bit quicker. Hilbrand slipping back, waiting for the Austin Greer mobile to pick him up. But Sprague is going to push that 81 out to the lead, and it looks like that inside line right now has that momentum as they head down into turn 3. But don't look too fast because that 92 is coming right back up and fighting the 3. That has been the story of the night, and they get very close to each other. Like we said, you could barely slip a piece of paper. It looks like Sprague is kind of challenging Hilbrins in that 92 to give him a little bit of space, but Hilbrins is able to channel that energy into moving him up to that front row side by side with Scott Sobzak in that 81 Square D Taurus. And they are 2 by 2 by 2 for the first 3 rows right now, and it is close. We're going to see some guys who are probably going to start making some moves who have been running at the back in just a few laps probably. But meanwhile, up front, they continue to battle back and forth, Sobzak and Hilbrins, both with help behind them. Lee Campbell in that 14 car, yeah, Hilbrins gets a little bit loose there. Sprague slips back underneath, but Lee Campbell is kind of quietly running right now in the 7th position as Hilbrins fights back for the lead. Brady Powers has kind of been a dark horse all night long, kind of sleeping. We've been sleeping on him a little bit here. He's running 5th right now. We'll see if he's going to make any moves. So those of you who are watching in the chat, who are you pulling for right now with just about 15 laps to go? Let us know. We got a car in the wall. I believe that was Lee Campbell. So Lee Campbell, after a strong run, hopefully we didn't put the jinx on him. He is going to slip back, and I do think there was some contact with the wall. I'm just not sure what happened.
Yeah, it looks
But
like
no caution.
Yeah, it looks like Patrick Colby tried to go to the inside and make it 3 wide on him, and looks like Lee tried to give him a little bit more space and just slipped up a little bit and tagged the wall. Doesn't seem to be too much damage, but unfortunately, I think he might have lost the draft from this lead pack.
He's definitely lost the draft, and without a caution, that's really probably going to be difficult to make up with just 14 laps to go all by himself back there. These guys continue to mix it up. Austin Greer now running in the 4th spot, and it's kind of been the theme of the race, 2 by 2 by 2. It's all about who you've got pushing you and what kind of help you've got in whatever line you're running right now.
Yeah, and you know, Tony Hilbrins has been with Patrick Colby all night, and here he is. He's got a new helper. He's got a new pusher behind him. You don't know what a new pusher's going to do. Is Austin Greer going to give the bumper to him? Is he going to push him in a spot where he doesn't want to be pushed? These are all questions. Your friends are where you find them at this point. You're noticing that the speeds are up too. As everybody's running a little bit closer together, the energy in both the lines is really, really high. As, man, that top line is really pinching down on that low line. I've noticed a few times... Monty Sprague, who's doing a really nice job tonight, our pole sitter, down here in 3 and 4, I've noticed a couple times where he has slipped up. He's running slightly higher than Sobczak in this corner, and he and the 92 come close together.
You can see that, and I don't know if that's intentional, if that's a challenge to the 92, kind of, hey, give me a little bit of space, or that's just the way the car's driving for him right now. But regardless, it's creating a tense situation up at the front. We've just got about 12 laps to go before these racers take the checkered flag, but a lot's going to happen in between now and that checkered flag flying.
I just hope they can keep on seeing the track.
Right? It is getting...
and this is old Daytona, so the lights don't work. So hopefully they can keep on seeing good enough. I think they'll be fine.
This is going to be interesting for sure.
Hey, it's the Clash. Got to add another wrinkle. It's Chase Berry. Oh, they get close here off this corner.
And as we predicted, the action has picked up.
Yeah, those teammates.
The intensity has picked up.
Those teammates are up on the... Yeah, Berry, Rapp, Jones, they're all up on that high line right here, and running 3 wide, 3 by 3 is so tricky here. It's so narrow and so bumpy. This is such a challenge right here.
All it's going to take is one mistake, putting one tire in the wrong place, but we are 3 wide here, and Tony Hilbrins is probably right now in a place he doesn't want to be, between 3rd and 4th place, between that 9 car and the 5 car. But things settle out just a little bit here. That energy, that top line slows down. I'm wondering if they're going to pull in behind Hilbrins. It looks like they will bide their time for the time being. We're coming down to 10 to go. And yeah, Chris, you're right. I hope we have the daylight to be able to make it to the end of this race.
Yeah, that's the thing about this old Daytona is that, you know, the lights don't work here, but I think that they can see good enough to make it 3 wide, so we might be okay. As Chase Berry with a good push from Rye Jones.
Yeah, so these were the guys running at the back of the pack, and Rye better be careful not to come down on that 81 car, but Chase is going to pull us to the lead. Oh, we got a crash. Monty Sprague, it looks like, and Patrick Colby collide. Will they gather it up?
They gather it up.
Out? Wow. And that is going to separate. It looks like we've got about a 5-car breakaway right now with Chase Berry, Tony Hilbrins, the 7 of Rye Jones, the 81 of Sobczak, and Johnny Rapp. Austin Greer not far behind there. Maybe he can pick up a draft on the 52 of Rapp. We'll just have to see right now. Maybe we can take a look at what happened in a second if we've got a moment. But
Yeah, it looks like the 3 of Monty Sprague and the 9 of Patrick Colby. I think they just ran out of space going into turn 3 right here as... Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to place blame. It's so hard to run 3 wide here. It's like the 9 and the 3 got together. They do a really nice job of straightening it out, and everybody behind them did a nice job of not collecting the rest of the field.
absolutely. And back up at the front, Hilbrens and Barry battle side by side. Hilbrens still sticking to that outside line. Barry now has shifted his line to the inside after riding the outside line up about 10 positions in just about 2 or 3 laps. And it looks like Greer has picked up the draft, and now we have a 6-car breakaway. So this is going to come down to 6 drivers with just 8 laps to go. Barry leads them into 3, and Barry is a guy, it's kind of a wild card. He is not afraid to make those aggressive moves, and we might have just had some contact between the 7 and the 92. They are, again, you could barely slip a sheet of paper between these guys. Rapp is going to come up on top, and I'm curious because Rapp is teammates with the 5 and the 7. They've been running together all night, so how much is he willing to help that 92 of Hilbrens right now? He certainly is willing to push him out to the lead. But what happens if it's Hilbrens and Barry? Do you think Rapp is willing to push Hilbrens to a win against his teammates?
Well, I think that if Johnny feels like if he pushes the 92 past both Chase Berry and Rye Jones, if he can push them past them, he feels like it gives him a better chance to win, then I think that he would totally be willing to do that. Without any points on the line here, with just a fun race, go out here and try to, bring home a checkered flag. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he tried to push him past him. But if he gets a line, if he gets a hole on the inside right here behind Rye Jones, I also wouldn't be surprised if he takes it because those guys have worked really well together all night.
Just 6 to go from Daytona, the Apex Energy Cup Series. Preseason Clash is nearing its completion, and the Daylight is nearing its completion as well. Do you think we get an onboard shot of one of these cars just to see how dark it is from the driver's view right now?
It's pretty dark.
Because from our end, it's visible, but sometimes the cameras can tell a different story. So yeah, there's a little bit of light on these cars. Those lights are putting off a little bit of visibility. We've got contact. Man, these guys are going back and forth. Hilbrens and Barry still tight up front as they cross the line to take 5 to go from the flagman, and it remains Hilbrens and Barry gridlocked up top with their Barry's teammates Jones and Rapp right behind. Scott Sobczak running quietly in 5th place, but don't count him out. And then Austin Greer, I just get that sneaky feeling that 45 car might just be waiting, laying in wait, waiting to make that move. He's kind of been sneaky all night. He's kind of lurked inside the top 6. He's a new slingshot driver, and he's probably looking to make a statement. So we'll see if that is going to happen as he kind of draws up on the back of Hilbrens.
Yeah, you could hear him at the back of the pack when we cut to his onboard right there. He was feathering the throttle like he wanted to ride, but then he decided that he was going to get up in the middle of it, trying to get himself in better position right here with just 4 laps to go.
4 to go, and the daylight gets even less as we hit the back stretch coming up right now. It's going to be really dark. Those lights putting off very little light for these drivers to see. So at any moment, it's going to be really, really difficult to have any sort of visibility. Kind of an added challenge that maybe was slightly unintentional, but you can see it right now.
Oh, the 12 in the wall.
Very difficult to see. I'm not sure if that daylight issue caused the 12 any issues, but you can see right now Greer is slipping back a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like
I don't know about... Go ahead.
Yeah, it looked like he had a little bit of trouble right there, but he collected it. He saved it. He's still at the back of this pack. He still got a shot. Oh, and we got a caution on the track.
Man, at a time where I don't think we could afford a caution. Do we know what that caution was for?
It might be for darkness. Our race director might have deemed that it was just too dark to keep on going.
That is a big possibility. I'm going to check in with race control real quick, and we will see if we can get an answer.
If so, Chase Berry might be walking home with the win from the Apex Energy Clash at Daytona. This would be a nice win for Chase, if that is the case. Not really seeing any other incidents on track on my end here. But we'll check in with our race controller here, and we'll see if we're going to get back going tonight. Yeah, the 2008 Daytona on iRacing does not have the lights that the current one does, so a little bit unintentional with that, but they get made for an added wrinkle that is kind of fun for an event like this. While we check in to see if Chase Berry is going to be the winner, if this was a race control deemed caution. We'll take a look right now at the current running order. Go ahead, Els.
With the race director that caution was indeed for daylight running out. It was just too dark. The track started to disappear. We were just a couple laps short of making it. And that was definitely unintentional on our side in terms of just missed it by a couple of minutes, and also didn't take into account that the old Daytona doesn't have lights that work. So it looks to me like our winner is going to be the guy who started near the very back and started 12th. In fact, dead last, and he picked up 11 spots to win. Chase Berry is going to take home the win in this Apex Energy Cup Series Clash. We're going to get him on the radio in just a moment.
Yeah, Tony Hilbrand's up front all night. It looks like he's going to bring home a second place. Great run for him. He was really impressive all night. And Rye Jones, all these guys, Chase Berry, Rye Jones, and Johnny Rapp in fourth, right around in the back all night, and here they are finishing first, third, and fourth if they can just get it around for another couple laps here under this caution flag. So really impressive performance. That was an impressive run up the outside there. It's so hard to do here. Everybody did such a nice job of just holding their line and keeping it straight there.
Chase Berry, Slingshot Booth, you got a copy?
Yeah, man, I got that copy.
What can you see out there?
I see the pace car. I see the caution light come up and on. That's it. I mean, everything's grayed out. It's like when Hurricane Ian came through here for the whole track.
That's what we were going for.
We were trying to simulate that. We forgot that the old Daytona doesn't have lights, and it was set for just a little bit later than we needed. So hey, we got kind of an added dimension to the race. What were you kind of talking about there in the lead up to the caution? Did y'all have warning that the caution was coming out?
Are you talking about? No, we were planning to lick the stamp and send it, as Chris would say. Like, I've had 5 million laps around here, feels like, so I kind of had a feel well, and so I was hoping for the best, but we was gonna run it out and hope for the best, really.
Yeah. So how crazy was it getting those final few laps before the track pretty much completely disappeared? It looked like kind of the intensity had picked up from our perspective. Is that what it felt like in the car?
Yeah, like it definitely picked up. Like as soon as it started getting dark and the car started shining up a little bit, and the yellow line was the best friend. Like it was the only, like on my end, because I'm running the old school VR, like with the Oculus, the first original one. So all I see is the yellow line barely coming through. So I'm just planted and hoping for the best on that one.
Yeah, it was. We saw some pretty close calls out there. And hey, you came home with a win. You started last, and the strategy of kind of staying at the back till the end paid off. So, congratulations.
I mean, you asked me when I was going to the front. I said when it gets dark. And guess what? It got dark.
You didn't lie. All right, man. Well, congratulations. Before we let you go, you got any shout-outs for anyone tonight as you get ready? I believe we got a couple laps left, but you're going to be the winner here.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, Johnny and Ryan for working with us. I know they didn't get the result. We wanted to put 1, 2, 3, but Ryan for going with me and Johnny helping out too. Man, it was fun. And yeah, we might actually run this thing too. Let's go do it. All right, but
All
yeah,
right,
that's
man.
about it. And you guys
Appreciate
put
it.
this on.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right, so that was Chase Berry, the winner of the Apex Energy Series class, and what will soon be ending here.
I think they're
Um,
gonna do a little fun, see if they can run it out here.
oh, okay.
I think
All right.
I think that Chase is officially our winner, but I think they're just gonna do this for fun here, for kicks and giggles.
Yeah, all right. So we'll see. Are they just running?
No idea. I haven't heard them. I was talking to you guys all the time, so I'm just hoping for the best.
All right.
I mean, you can hang out with me if you want.
Yeah, we'll keep you on it. Do you mind?
I don't care. I can't see
Yeah, we're
nothing.
curious to see what your perspective is. It's kind of an interesting sight coming to the line right now, for sure.
Well, I'm on the bottom-ish, pushing up, and okay, I didn't hit him. Somewhere in the middle of the backstretch. Yeah, I have no idea where the line's at, but it's all gray. But
Oh, we got some cars off behind you.
yeah.
Looks
So
like we got a crash.
Ryan's pushing me, so we're gonna drop it hopefully to the bottom, and I'm somewhere in the middle because it's bumpy. No, it's not as bumpy. So here's the apron. There's the swing up. See, Tony hit the wall. They're wrecking behind me.
Yeah, they're wrecking behind you. Hey, you would have won anyways, buddy.
Well, I don't
They're
know.
all
Oh, shit. Oh,
they're
there.
all in the wall, and what
mean-
a visual of smoke on top of a blank black track. As night falls, just a little bit too early for us. Chase Berry officially won that race before that final shootout. Congratulations, Chase.
Try to do a reverse
We
lap
appreciate
here in a minute. But yeah, all right. Peace out, guys.
it, man. We'll pop you
Yeah,
back to your
sure.
channel.
10-4.
All right, so you heard from Chase Berry there, kind of that play-by-play, trying to race on that blank track, but that sun came down just a little bit too early. So right now, I think it'd be good. I would like to pull in. All right, so we are back live and try to clear up a few issues there. We are going to bring Tony Hilbrens into the broadcast booth. He ended up finishing second after running most of the race, really in the top part of the running order, and kind of just fighting back and forth with Monty Sprague and Sat Sabzak all night. So we're going to try to pull him into the booth. Give me just 1 second. Discord is working a little slow tonight.
See if I can drag him up there. All right, he should be with us now.
Tony, Slingshot
Sure.
broadcast booth, you got a copy on us?
10-4.
Wow. Crazy finish, in part because of the darkness. We did not account for the old Daytona not having lights, but before all that madness at the end, you were pretty much controlling the race. Talk to us about what it was like to run. I think you spent a lot of your time up top. Was that a conscious decision, or was that just where you ended up kind of in the mix of things?
Yeah, I started second, and I was happy because that outside line's the strong line here, or the middle line, whatever, the middle line. And yeah, me and Patrick were controlling it really, really nicely, and then he decided to be dumb and get a penalty leaving pit road after the caution, and I kind of had to fight the whole field by myself after that. And then
We were talking about that, losing your teammate a little bit.
yeah, and then it would have been nice to have that the race end 2 laps sooner. But
We were hoping for it.
I don't know. I think honestly, if you would have just left it, we only had like 2 laps left when he threw it. So I think it would have been fine to finish it how it was. But yeah, I was kind of hoping you guys would have called it at like 35 or something, because that was before I think the 52 bailed on me. So and nobody was
You were
helping me anyway. So.
I was about to say you were kind of a man on an island there in those final couple of laps. It felt like without your teammate Patrick Colby behind you. And we talked about kind of the importance of teammates. We know a lot of guys out there didn't have teammates, but you were the one of the ones that did, and that benefited you early on until it didn't later on in the race. So we'll talk to us briefly about the intensity. We noticed a shift as we would have expected in those final 6 to 7 laps, especially as the darkness kind of poured down on you guys. How much did it pick up, and could you feel it in the car?
I don't know if like the intensity got higher exactly, but they definitely were trying to figure out how to get around me a lot quicker, because obviously it was coming to the end, and I guess nobody really knew if it was going to be called short or not. But the car felt pretty much the same the whole time, even on older tires. But then again, I wasn't stuck on the bottom like the 3. I know his tires were going away because I was forcing them to go away on the first run.
We noticed that you guys were side by side for a lot of that early run, and we got nervous a couple times because that 3 car, whether it was intentional or unintentional, kind of ran just maybe a third of a lane higher and really forced your hand on how far you were going to push him down the track.
Yeah, there were a few times I don't know if he just missed the corner or if he was trying to get me to miss mine. But yeah, he entered late a couple times, and we touched a little, and then yeah, he was really coming up off the corner, especially out of 4, I think. But yeah, they were just little door taps. Other than I think it was like around lap 3 or 4 when he did get into my left rear. Obviously it wasn't intentional, but my car got pretty sideways, and I'm surprised we didn't all die there. But yeah, it was good hard racing. He held it in his like lane well enough to where I could trust doing what I was doing, and me being able to pinch like that really kept me the lead, and I was able to get the runs out of the corner, which was what the key was. So.
Hey man, well you did a masterful job most of the night, and congratulations on that finish. We're looking forward to seeing you running up front in the Apex Energy Cup Series this year. You got any shout outs before we let you go?
Just everybody who watches, you guys for putting this on and broadcasting, and everyone who shows up to race, because can't have a show without people showing up, you know.
Yes.
This was a little smaller field, but it was also the Clash, and I think we still put on a good show for everyone. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. We'll have more people for our regular season opener in Daytona next week. So we'll be looking forward to it, man. We appreciate you. Have a good night. We're going to throw you back down to your team channel.
10-4. Thanks, guys. You guys have a good one, too.
You too. Chris, you mind moving him down while I move Rye up into the booth?
Sure.
Rye Jones, this is the Slingshot broadcast booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, man. How's it going?
It's going. You got a copy, but you don't have much of a view out there. It's completely dark. Congrats on your 3rd place finish. It maybe was possible to have a little bit better, but the darkness did not necessarily agree with that. Talk to us about those last final laps. We'll start there in terms of your visibility and what you're able to see and when it almost completely went away.
Well, I kind of stuck to with Chase, and we kind of made the agreement that once it gets dark, that's when we go. And because we knew that the old Daytona with iRacing, they don't have it set up with the lights correctly where you can.
Yours truly might have forgotten that.
It happens. It's okay, but they made it a little bit more interesting. So we were like, well, let's have some fun with it. So when Chase said when it gets dark, I'm going, and I was like, all right, I'll follow you, because that's about pretty much the best chance we got. And we took it 3 wide there, and luckily it just kind of stuck, and we had some good forward momentum. And once we were to get down on the bottom, we were kind of able to make it stick for a little while. And yeah, I think we probably could have gotten around Tony once Johnny caught up with us, and we were kind of like a 3-man team trying to get 1, 2, 3. Kind of feel bad for him, but it was a lot of fun. It was really interesting.
How hard was it for you to wait in the back for that first half of the race?
It was really not hard at all. I found it very entertaining to watch. We don't really race at this old Daytona very often since it's a legend track, and so I really kind of felt, like I was racing mid 2000s with an old car, a bumpy track, and I was just kind of like enjoying the view. I was like, this is really cool, and I didn't get any practice in, so it kind of helped me to make sure I wasn't going to do anything ridiculous, get loose and spin myself out. So it helped me be a little patient. Luckily, everybody in front of us, raced clean and just ended up working out.
Yeah, well, we're glad it worked out for you. Congratulations on that third place finish. You got any shout outs before we let you go?
I got to shout out you guys for putting on a good show. Got to shout out Payday Racing and for always allowing me to be a part with them. And, congrats to Chase. I'm really glad that it worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked out for him. All right, man. We appreciate it. We're going to throw you back down to your team chat, and we'll see you next week at Daytona again, but the new Daytona.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. Let's see if we can move him.
I got him, Ellis.
You got him? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got him. All right. So quite a wild ending to that race. As the lights went down, the intensity picked up until there were no lights left, and we had to call the race just a couple of laps short. Chase Berry, Slingshot regular, he's going to be racing the Cup Series and Truck Series this season, was able to bring home the win. And Chris, how much of this race gives us anything to use as a baseline for next week at the newer Daytona? What can we expect to see that's going to be similar, and what are going to be the major differences that we might be looking for?
Well, I mean, obviously it won't be as bumpy next week, but I think you'd also expect to see like the ways in which the draft work. That won't change that much next week. The draft is the draft with this car. This car doesn't punch, the huge hole in the air like the trucks that you're going to see tomorrow night here on Slingshot TV. But they still put on a really good show. Like Rye said, I think that these cars put on a really great show on the plate tracks. I felt very nostalgic tonight watching these cars out here on this bumpy track. I think that you see the draft work the same way that it did. I think that you'll still see guys that hang out in the back, and especially next week when the race is longer and with a smoother track, people have a lot more confidence with that, and so they're probably more likely to make some very aggressive moves. Especially we're having a bigger field next week, like we're going to have. So I would expect that. I would expect to see some of the same. Obviously, the car's not moving around as much, but it's just some aggressive, fast action.
Yeah, absolutely. Aggressive and fast are two words I think that describe tonight pretty well. And they're going to describe next week pretty well when we do head to that newer version of Daytona that has been repaved. We'll have hopefully a full field of Cup Series drivers and these ARCA cars out there. And we're going to be back tomorrow night for the Apex Energy Truck Series clash. And I suspect tomorrow night we're going to have 30-plus drivers entered in the race, and it's going to be we'll make sure that time clock is set correctly where we don't have to throw an early checkered flag, but tomorrow night's going to be even more intense, I suspect. So if you like what you saw tonight, you can come back tomorrow night at the same time, 8:30 East, to catch the Apex Energy Truck Series, and we run every Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 East. Green flag time. So come by and join us, stop in the chat. And we appreciate everyone who was part of that chat tonight and kind of talked about what drivers they were looking forward to seeing in victory lane, and maybe what their strategy might have been had they been in the race. So yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone, tonight from Daytona. We'll be back tomorrow night. Same track, new car, Apex Energy Truck Series. Until then, have a good night, everybody.